What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in the studio with me, Darius Fentress. I'm so glad that y'all are with me today. And today is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a solo pod with just me. I'm going to talk to you guys and just give you a little bit of insight of who I am, how I even became an engineer, and why I love the studio so much. But before I get into it, y'all, please like, comment, and especially subscribe to this channel. If you have loved the content that I have given you guys over the last few weeks, if you love the guests, if you want to see more guests that are just amazing people in this industry, that are amazing musicians, amazing engineers, and creatives, please subscribe to this channel. I'm having a blast getting a chance to talk to some old friends of mine, some new friends. It's just been great, and I'm glad that you guys are along for the ride with me. So I created this channel because I just really wanted to give people insight on what I do. And a lot of people know me from being a percussionist, most notably playing percussion behind the incomparable Fred Hammond, who is my uncle. He's my uncle through marriage, and he's known me my whole life pretty much. So having the opportunity to work with him for 11, 12 years of my life, really in my adult development, was very key for me. I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for Fred. So Fred, I want you to know I love you. I appreciate you. And hopefully soon I have you on here too. And but yeah, I people know me from being a percussionist, and I could go through a long story how I even started with percussion. I'll save that for another time, but I wanted to let you guys in on how I've been able to work on so many different projects with so many different artists over the years, and how that has helped shape my craft as an audio engineer. I was really fortunate enough to come in at a time where the technology was changing over from all analog to a more digital environment. And I can remember this was around the year, maybe late 99, early 2000s. I was just getting my start with Fred and RFC, and we were traveling the country, traveling the world. And Fred owned a studio in Southfield, Michigan called Face to Face Productions. Face to Face, still to this day, is doing some amazing things in Dallas, Texas. But at the time we were in Michigan, and Face to Face was three separate buildings, all in one business park. But you had the main building that had the big studio. Then right next door we had what we used as a rehearsal hall. It was just an open space, a kind of multi-use space for storage, for rehearsals. At times there were some production rooms in there, but it was mainly used for rehearsals. And then just around the corner of the business park was the original face-to-face building that had the huge garage. If you know Fred, he loves all types of motor vehicles, so cars and boats and ATVs. I got a funny ATV story. It's not really funny, but I'm going to tell that one day. But yeah, so, and then you had the original face-to-face studio where I believe Commission even recorded there in the mid 90s. In fact, I remember being in Detroit. I wasn't living back in Detroit at the time. I was in Portland, Oregon, and we visited Detroit for the summer, and we heard that Run DMC was going to be on a Commission album. And we were trying to get back to see Run DMC at Face to Face, and I think we missed them by like one day, but we were still able to see a lot of the production and a lot of the process that Commission was doing for the Matters of the Heart album. That was all done at the old Face to Face building. So you got three buildings all being used for production, for recording, for rehearsing, all the offices, everything face to face it was amazing. Like for a gospel music, for the most part, all gospel music production, there was really nothing like it where everything was just in house. That's how Fred is. He's always been a forward thinker in that way. So I'm coming in to this machine. I'm 19 years old. I don't have a whole lot of experience at the time in the recording studio. I had done some recording in high school, in my high school in Portland, Oregon, where we did some recording, but I didn't really have any type of interest in being an engineer. I was strictly a musician. So as time is going around late 99, early 2000, I'm touring, we're traveling, but during the week, I'm kind of like just hanging out at the studio. They were gracious enough to give me a opportunity to clean up, like clean the bathrooms, take the trash out, go pick up lunch, and just really being an intern. And they start giving me a little bit of money to do that. And I can remember just kind of sitting around one day and really getting challenged by Fred. He said, you know what, just go in the studio and just be in there and just observe, figure out some stuff, learn some stuff, be available, avail yourself to learn. And so I did. I remember my first times just kind of being in there watching Ray when they were recording, Ray Hammond, another key person at the time, Kevin Wilson, Big Kev. These are my mentors. Marcus Eason, big influence for me. Marcus Eason actually taught me what signal flow is and how the signal flow worked in that studio. He showed me from the patch bay, from the control room into the cutting room. He showed me how to patch on the console. They had a huge 56 channel Rembrandt console made by AMEC. It was huge. So many knobs and faders that I had no idea what they did at the time. They had so many outboard racks for compression and EQ and reverbs and delays and anything that you would think that would be in a full scale recording studio. 2-inch tape, they were still cutting on 2-inch. So one of my first tasks as a third engineer, I was responsible for creating track sheets. And for those of you who don't know what a track sheet is, it's basically a printout that looked like an empty calendar. Basically, it had 24 empty squares, and I had to fill out each square with the track name. So if there's 24 tracks, usually the drums will start at 1, kick, snare, hi-hat, rack tom, 1, 2, floor tom, overhead left, right, and then went to bass and guitar and so forth until it got to 24. And for those of you who, are in this world, that a lot of times you need more than 24 tracks. So we would record 24 and then have to bust down certain tracks to either one track or to a stereo track in order for us to make room for more, because you have to fit in vocals and all of that stuff. So my assignment, my responsibility was to write out track sheets. Then, at the end of sessions, they had to burn out CDs or tapes at that time. And we had a computer program that printed out labels. So I had to learn that program to print out the labels for the sessions that we just did. And so from there, I learned a lot about how the studio worked from a signal flow perspective. I learned, kind of what this piece of equipment did here. And, I watched Ray record a 2-inch, and I would see them like splice tape, and I would see them write the tape on the console, the labeling to show what's on each track. And it would be these long strips of masking tape that we would hang up on the wall in the storage room, just in case, we had to recall a mix or something. So it was a lot. But one of the cool things that happened, I would say maybe about a year or so into doing that, we started moving to a different format of recording. We weren't fully into the computer DAWs yet, but we were in a digital world, and we were using these, I believe it was made by Tascam, the MX2424, which was a 24 channel hard disk recorder, but it had a software with it. So with the software, you could actually like see the waves and see what you've recorded, and it was easy to fly stuff. And what flying is basically taking one part of the recording, copying it and pasting it into another part, which it was big because you could basically, like if you're doing a background session, you could sing the part one time, and then if you need to hear that same part again in a song, you don't have to record it again. You could just move it, copy it, and move it to that space. So that was the first exposure to that world of digital recording. And I got a chance to learn that. And then we got into using Logic for production work. And so I ingratiated myself to really learn the computer programs. And then they made the decision to use Pro Tools for the first time. And I believe it was like Pro Tools 5 at that point. And that changed everything, especially for me, because I could learn the stuff pretty quick. So I was given responsibility fairly early on to help with recording sessions because I knew the program. I could record, I could edit, and I could fly vocals, and I could do all of that stuff fairly fast. Of course, there was a lot of trial and error. I made a lot of mistakes. I'm going to tell you guys in the future about the time I recorded a whole session of backgrounds and every single track was distorted. I'll tell that another time. But yeah, so a lot of mistakes made, but it was a great learning step for me to be one of the first in that studio for sure. Now, we were all using it, but I was one of the ones that kind of got trusted to figure some other stuff out and, learn some things about the program because I had time to do it. That was my job. Ray was able to kind of not have to worry about recording anymore. He could just, he already did the business side of things, but then all he had to do was mix. So I would say by the time we got to about 2003, 2004, I was one of the main guys really doing all of the recording and all of the editing. And it was just great practice and great training for me. And I never forget, I had a conversation with my guy, Tommy Walker, Big Time, rest in peace, Big Time. He told me at a time where I felt like I wasn't really being utilized a lot, he challenged me. He said, man, you have to make yourself indispensable. And I took that to heart. And what he meant was you have to make sure that you can do what nobody else can do. And I took that and I ran with it. And I made sure that if anything, I knew that I was the one who could use this program, the Pro Tools, to the best of its ability. Even if I make mistakes, and there's always room to get better, I'm still learning. I'm still growing to this day. But that was a challenge that he gave me that I wanted to honor. And I was trusted. Fred didn't have to trust me with his art, with his business, with his moneymaker. That's big for me to be trusted in that way. And it really showed up when we ended up moving to Dallas, Texas. And, all of the operation then was like just really just me and Fred, like at his house. And we cut record after record after record. And it was just, again, just shaping me into who I am today. One of the things that, if there's anything that I could change looking back, I think I focused so much on the operation of just recording and editing, and didn't really get into what it meant to have a sound. There was a lot of, and I admit, I was a bit fearful at times to take chances because I didn't want to mess things up. But things like knowing how to use reverb or delay the right way, or how to use a compressor, all that kind of stuff. I just did my job, and my job at that time was record this and then pass it on, which I tried to do to my best ability. And over the years, I learned what it meant to shape my own sound and to know how to use all the tools that are at my disposal. And there's so many tools in that digital world. You know, at first, using Pro Tools, I didn't know what I was doing. I was putting all types of processing on the inserts, not knowing that you could use like aux buses and all that kind of stuff. That came over time and over learning and mistakes and trial and error. But it was fun learning, it was fun in those times as I look back, those albums that we cut, all the people that I got a chance to work with. Early on, like I got a chance to work with Ace of Ward on a Smokey Norfolk album, recording Vanessa Bell Armstrong. I'm sitting there as his engineer for that session. That was so amazing. I got a chance to be in a room to record CeCe Winans, Marvin Winans, Mary Mary. So many amazing artists. The Mighty Clouds of Joy. Of course, recording Fred is amazing because his genius is just on another level. But yeah, so many different artists through my relationship with Fred and working at Face to Face, all the great people that came through at those times, working with my guy, Derek DC Clark, my boy, Elysia Joseph, who is from Barbados. He came and did an internship, and, he challenged me a lot because he was another really young guy, very driven. And man, he pushed me because I was like, man, this guy, he is about this life. So he really helped me. And we had a chance to work on an album with Shay Norman, rest in peace, Shay Norman. We basically got a chance to record that whole thing. And to be as young as I was at the time and to be trusted with that is just incredible. And I just love the experience that I had just from the beginning of it, learning, writing labels, putting out track sheets, and being responsible for making sure everybody has a tape or CD at the end of the session. Even into like sequencing orders of songs on albums, and being in a room with Ray as we're finishing up an album mix and getting that ready to send off to mastering, and even getting a chance to go to New York to Sterling Sound to watch an album be mastered. At that time in my development, that was huge. And it really lends to who I am today because I know, and I've done this, I know how to take a album from inception to release. I know every single step that needs to be taken to do that because I saw it firsthand. And yes, the music industry has changed a lot. The way we do it has changed a lot. But I know that I could do that because I had that experience. And so, yeah, that's just part of my journey of becoming an engineer. It's always run in tandem with my gifting as a drummer percussionist. There are seasons in my life where sometimes I'm on the road as a musician for a while, and then sometimes I'm at home in production mode, and sometimes I'm mixing. It's all giftings that God has given me, and I'm grateful to be able to do what I've done for so long now. 25 years I've been in this industry doing this. It's crazy. And I'm not really that old, but it's amazing to be able to be in a position that I've been in. And I just want to encourage anyone out there who is wanting to be successful in this business, in this industry. My advice to you is to never give up and don't despise small beginnings. Everything matters. If people can trust you to make labels, then they can trust you to push the record button. And if they can trust you to push the record button, then they can trust you to mix. But you have to be faithful, and you have to be dedicated to grow and to be excellent. And that is one thing that I really try to do in my life, is to be excellent, to have integrity, to treat people right, to love on people. And I hope that for you too. Everyone who's watching this or listening, I want you to flourish in everything you do and just be the person that God has called you to be. This platform, this podcast, and in the studio with Darius Fentress, I want this to be a platform of encouragement, a platform that's going to be informative, a platform that's going to have some funny moments, some great guests, some product demos, whatever it is, whatever that God is leading me to do. I hope that you are blessed by it. And remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I really love bringing you guys this content, and I just want it to be a blessing to you. Thank y'all for hanging out. And until next time, I'll see y'all. Peace.